True ritual is not repetition of form, but a remembrance of flow. That is the theme of our discussion today. We are going to be diving in to the concept of ritual. Last week we discussed chaos and the wounded one within. We refer to this next phase of once you have identified this chaos within you, moving our way up the pyramid verse, as the wounded seeker phase. Now we call this the wounded seeker phase because what the point of this phase is to start looking inside, but also to start looking outside. Start trying to find things that work for you to help keep you out of chaos. You know, these are the things that we often find ourselves doing a lot of research into. I know, especially for me, when I started my journey of trying to get out of this chaos, this internal conflict, and the grasp that it had over my life, I really dove into trying to figure out how to stop it, how to get rid of it, right? Which we talked about last week. You can't get rid of the wounded one. You only learn to heal the wounded one. This is shadow work, right? Shadow work 101. But how do we start that healing process, right? Where do we begin? And I found myself diving into every text that I could find. You know, I started with the perennial philosophy, which is basically a breakdown of that every religion has the same three core principles. Every religion, every philosophy, you know, have pretty much the same three core principles, which are charity, humility, and love without attachment. And that those three principles are what help us get back to ourselves, to get back to connection with source. And within the perennial philosophy, you know, he quotes and cites every single text, you know, pretty much out there that I would deem as the core texts that should be studied, you know, when it comes to learning about religion and theosophy, you know, and these shared themes within religion. And so once I read the perennial philosophy, I was like, now I want to read every single one of these, right? So I dove into all of the texts and all the philosophers and all the things, trying to find answers. But I think where I got caught up was this looking for answers and not really doing so much of the work itself, because it's really easy to put on a YouTube video and feel better after you hear somebody like myself tell you, you know, that you are divine and why, and all of these mysteries of the universe, and to learn about them. You know, knowledge is power. But the wisdom comes with incorporating this knowledge into your life. That's where we start to rise and start to turn around the light back up to source. So where do we start, right? How do we begin this process of ritual to help get ourselves out of chaos? Well, we have to start small, right? We have to start with simple things that help us remember, simple things that we can do that help take us to this level of awakening, understanding, and help start to work through some of this inner conflict that we have, right? Ritual is just the second step. This isn't the final step. And that's really the key to remembering this, because it's really easy to get caught up in ritual. It's really easy to get caught up in ritual because ritual feels so great. Once you have these routines and these things in place and these practices in place, it's so easy to fall back on them, which is amazing to have them to fall back on when you do find yourself starting to kind of fall backward into chaos. But it's also one of the easiest steps to get stuck on, because once you start doing these things, you're going to feel great. You're going to start realizing how powerful you are, and you're going to rely on these rituals to help you feel that power. But the key of working our way up this ladder is to learn ritual so that we don't need it anymore. Right? Ritual, like I said in the beginning, is not repetition of form, but a remembrance of flow. Think about that for a moment. Ritual is not repetition of form, but remembrance of flow. Ritual, like doing yoga every day, mantras, qigong, tai chi, doing your practices every day, saying your mantras, those are great tools, but they're just repetition of form. But they're supposed to be there to help us remember the natural flow, that we don't even need them. That eventually you won't need them. You'll have them, you can use them, and you're more than welcome to still do them every day. But they should never become a crutch. They will be in the beginning, but they cannot end up a crutch in the end, because we are to learn from these that feeling within us that we get is already there, and all we have to do is turn it back on by just going inside and remembering that it's already there. And we could bring that to the forefront of our everyday being. That is true power. Because the reason ritual also leads into chaos is because of getting stuck on it as that crutch, never progressing, thinking you need it. And when you don't get it, when you miss your ritual, when you miss your routine, when your routine is disturbed, you find yourself fall back into chaos, right? We all do it. We all rely on these routines and these things we have to do, whether it be I need to have my coffee in the morning, you're out of coffee, so now you have to go get coffee, and then it throws off your whole day because now you got to leave earlier and you have to get ready without getting your coffee. Or, you're supposed to go to the gym in the morning and, you've been going really well, and then you fall off for a couple of days, and now you feel like you're not doing well at work and you're not focused, and, whatever it is. Just those little things are very easy to throw us into turmoil. But also, ritual can lead to way too strong of a belief in that those rituals are what's doing the work, and that those rituals, everyone needs to be doing them. Give us each day our daily faith, but deliver us from belief. It's from Aldous Huxley in the book Island. I highly recommend it. It is fictional, but it's got a lot of great concepts in it. And that quote really stuck out to me because it relates to this ritual in a very, very strong way. Because like I was saying last week, in the external world, not just within, ritual can lead to chaos because we start to impose our beliefs on others. We start to have such a strong belief in these rituals that we think that everyone needs to do them, and if they're not doing them, then we either look at them differently, maybe their rituals are different, then we judge them, we distance ourselves from each other, we become superior, or we get a superiority complex, right? And we start to think that we're better because of our ritual and their rituals are wrong. And that leads to chaos, conflict, religious wars, something we're still dealing with to this day because of rituals that we believe are better than others. The only ritual that matters is what works for you, and whatever everyone else is doing, if it's working for them and helping them be the person they want to be, then that's great. If they ask for advice, it's a totally different thing. That's when you start to become the wounded healer, and you can help heal others because you've wounded that within yourself, or healed that wound within yourself. Because then you can pass on these things knowing that they are just tools and not a way of being. That's where the humility comes into play in the perennial philosophy. And the charity is being willing to give those rituals away without expecting anything in return. With being able to provide and help others without expecting anything in return. And the love without attachment is loving them regardless of whether or not they do those rituals. And allowing them to fall back into chaos as many times as they need to, but still being there for them every single time to pick them back up. So, with ritual, it's about remembering, right? So I'm going to leave you today with a quick practice. It's going to be a meditation that we can do that just helps us remember that flow within. So when you're ready, find a comfortable seat, laying down, standing, whatever you feel is comfortable. Slowly lower your eyes. Start to just breathe in and out normally, allowing the stomach to expand as you breathe in and collapse as you breathe out. We're not forced, we're not thinking, it should be natural. Now I want you to rise and fall with this breath. I want you to realize that as you breathe in and the stomach expands, you feel the energy in the stomach and the lower part of the body down into the perineum, feeling everything expand, right? And as you breathe out, it almost feels like it all goes to your head. These are the 2 points that I just want you to follow. Don't force it to go there, but realize that it already does. Root to crown. It's only natural. It's always been there within you. There's nothing you need to do but be present and remember.